Welcome to the Decoding HVAC Podcast, powered by Fujitsu Airstage, bringing you smart solutions, industry trends, and pro tips to keep you in the know. Well, Matt, let's talk today about the distribution options we have, specifically wall mount units or ceiling cassettes.
Yeah, absolutely. Answer me this, Darren. You're predominantly in the South and the Southeast. Construction type of a home. What's the foundation type down there?
It's either going to be slab on grade or there's going to be a crawl space. We really don't have much basements.
Yeah, I grew up in the coastal East Coast, and you dig 7 feet, you're at the water table, right? Where you go in some of the other markets in the Northeast, where I am in New England, and even up in Canada, where you got a lot of limestone, you can dig deeper and build basements, which is a lot what we see in our foundation. So kind of gets back to the topic of wall mount versus cassette. So you want to talk to me a little bit about the wall mounts down in your geography?
Typically, we see these in an add-on room, right? So a closed-in porch or something like that, and it's just one directional, fits on the wall, conditions a specific space, right? It's easy installation, residential retrofit with minimal structure, and access really isn't that big of a deal.
So one thing that people would need to understand about wall mounts, typically where they're on an exterior wall, right? Because depending if it's a retrofit like you were just describing in your scenario, you got to get the condensate out, right? So again, anytime you're running the air conditioning mode, you're pulling humidity out of the air. You've got to get that moisture out. So most wall mounts just have regular gravity feed. So a lot of these wall mounts are mounted on a perimeter wall, whether that's on a basement wall or, to your point, a room above the garage. So it's one thing that we have to be very careful and consider of which one do I go for, whether that's a wall mount or a cassette.
So Matt, talk to me a little bit about cassettes be more prevalent where you are just for access of drop ceilings. Kind of walk me through that. I'm always intrigued by them. The wall mount units, it's one directional. It's really ideal for a space where you're controlling just one area, but get into a cassette. I mean, you've got distribution all the way around that thing, right?
So the benefit of a cassette is trying to put your airflow in the center of the room. To your point, a wall mount is going to be on the perimeter, is blowing towards an area. Anything, the further away you come, go away from the air handler, the less you feel. By putting a cassette in the center of the room, you're blowing your air 4 directions and you're pulling your return in the center of that cassette back to the center of the room. So you have a little more dialed in temperature, not that having a wall mount won't, but to your point, we're talking about foundation. So in the North, where unlike the South, where we have a lot of basements, some of the basement, fits, or you're trimming it out or you're finishing them out, you'll see a drop ceiling grid, a 2x2, kind of like what you would see in a commercial retail store. You would see these put in there, and you can actually spread these down a linear basement and be able to zone that way. If you think about it, these cassettes have, it's a minimal, but it does have a condensate lift to get that moisture that we talked about just a few minutes ago, to get that moisture up out of the unit into a drain above that first floor grade, so then it can be drained out into a drain or what have you.
So that's another consideration. So maybe a small condensate pump to pump that out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and you can put a condensate pump pretty much on any ductless system, but it just depends on what you're trying to do to manage, the airflow. How many rooms does a basement have? How many rooms would you have in the main floors? You could put a cassette in the middle of a bedroom. It's very unlikely, but you can, because typically, that middle of the bedroom is occupied by a ceiling fan or a light fixture, what have you. Typically, what we see in our cassettes, they're pretty compact. They're normally 24 inches by 24 inches. We definitely see those in offices, like a small little office. If you have a little strip mall office where you're fitting it out, because it's center of the room, you can zone, each one have its own controller, and it fits aesthetically pleasing to the ceiling.
I think that's one of the advantages of those systems, because it's not, mounted outside the wall where you see it all the time. Your eye naturally gravitates to it. It's kind of up, out of sight, out of mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And depending on the aesthetic preference of the building owner or the homeowner, sometimes having a wall mount on a wall just isn't appealing to certain clientele, and that's totally fine. So that's one of the benefits of a ductless system is multiple options to be able to control the comfort level in that space.
You have any questions or would like us to cover a topic, please reach out to us at decodinghvacpodcast@gmail.com.